Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Raw Radiant Health, and I'm Natasha, and thank you so much for joining me. So today I decided that I want to talk about how to stop binge eating, and that is binge eating late night, because I know a lot of people go through this. I know that a lot of people are really good on their diets during the day, and then suddenly the evening comes and they start binging. And this is one question I actually get asked a lot, because as you guys know, for a living I coach people with their diets and with their weight loss, if they want to improve their existing diet. Some people want to go 100% raw, some people just want to eat better and feel better and overcome sometimes some sicknesses, things like that. And so this is one question that keeps coming up, and it's one thing that even if it doesn't come up, I notice. Like, I notice when they're describing how they eat, or they're submitting their food log, things like that. I started seeing a pattern, and this is one pattern that I see quite a bit. And so I want to talk about it because it's something that needs to be addressed, because it's not talked so much about, and people kind of like to keep this on the lowdown, on the hush-hush, you know, like no one wants to admit that they're having like a food party like every night, right? So I want to address this because I want to give you a solution, and I know the solution. Like, right when I see it, I'm like, you know, I can see it all. And because normally there's two reasons why people binge. There's either the actual physical hunger that starts it, that they're really hungry and they start eating and then they can't stop. And then it's the other side, that it's more of actually like an emotional thing, and they need what I call like a buffer. It's kind of like you need that comfort, and the food is gonna it's gonna numb you out, it's gonna maybe raise your blood sugar a bit so you feel a little bit happy, and take away the sadness or loneliness or anxiety, stress, things like that, and it'll just chill you out. And so there's two reasons why people go to their food and overdo it with their food. And I want to talk about today more the physical side of binge eating, because I notice it a lot, and I notice it a lot in the raw food. People that are going on a 100% raw food diet, that they find themselves binging, or people that are transitioning onto a raw food diet, but also I see it a lot in mainstream diets as well. And a lot of it's all very similar, is that people are not eating enough during the day. And like last night I was thinking about this, and I was thinking, you know, no one ever comes to me and asks me, like, you know, what do they do about their binge eating first thing in the morning? Or no one ever confides in me and says, you know, that they're binging for every day at lunch. Never. I never hear of breakfast or lunch binging or overeating. But I always hear of late night. And sometimes dinner time, but usually it's late night. And the first reason why, like, you know, and so when I see this pattern, I'm just kind of like, okay, like, it's so obvious that it's hard for you to see it when you're in the middle of it, but for me, being on the outside, I can really see it. And I see that a lot of times it's because people are just not eating enough during the day. A lot of people skip breakfast, and they have either, like, you know, like a decent lunch and then a decent dinner, but then like come 10 o'clock they're hungry, and that's bringing them to overeating. And especially like with the raw foods, when someone's transitioning into a raw food diet, a lot of times people don't eat enough. And I think that's something I really want to stress right now, is the fact that with a standard sort of mainstream diet, when someone's eating meat, or they're eating fried food, or they're eating a lot of carbohydrates, like refined carbohydrates, like breads and pastries and cookies, things like that, these things are really calorie dense. there's a lot of calories in a very small portion. And it's the opposite with raw foods. Raw foods, there's very little calories in the same size portion. And so a lot of times people don't realize that, like, you know, they eat the same volume on a raw food diet as they did with their standard type of mainstream diet. So, like, meaning they're not going to eat a larger amount when they're eating raw foods, and therefore their meals are very calorie deficient. They're not getting enough calories. So for their breakfast, for their lunch, it's like they're getting almost like half the calories they normally would if they ate their standard meal. And then come dinner time, they're famished, and then they're binging out because they're starving, and they're like, why am I binging? Why is this going on? And it's because, you know, and they're like, I ate a big breakfast and I ate a big lunch, and, you know, why is it I'm so hungry, and why can't I stop eating? And it's because you actually have to eat even more. Like, when you have a salad, you don't have like a little side bowl of salad. You make like a big bowl of salad as your meal. When you have a fruit, it's not one fruit, you know, like one apple or one banana, but you might have like 5 bananas in one sitting. And that's all right. That's only 500 calories. It's nothing. And so, but people don't realize that. And so that's something I just want to stress, because that can really help you it's kind of like what you do first thing in the morning and in the afternoon is going to determine how your evening is going to be. And so if you don't want to be binge eating anymore late night, my suggestion is to have a big breakfast, have a big lunch, and don't be scared of that. I think a lot of times people are scared of eating a lot, but they don't realize that when you're really like, when you eat something that's satisfying first thing in the morning and in the afternoon, by the end of the day, you're not so hungry that you might have a very light dinner, or you might not even have a dinner at all. And that's all right. And for me, like, how I look at it, I actually find it's better to have a hearty and a heavier breakfast and lunch, and either a very light dinner or no dinner at all. Like, I think that that's more healthier for you than a lot of people that skip breakfast and have a light lunch and then have a huge dinner that they're only going to go to bed like 2 hours later and sleep on it. And so it's actually better to reverse it. And another thing that I notice with myself, because I have a tendency to eat late at night, and a lot of times what I've noticed is that I'm fine up until like 10 or 11 at night, and I'm doing something, and I'm starting to feel tired, and suddenly I want to start to eat. And this is like a new pattern in my life. I never used to do this, because what I used to do before was I'd actually go to bed. When I started getting tired at night, it was bedtime. But for some reason, I want to stay up and do things. Like, my mind is like, it's going, it wants to do things. And so I start, you know, thinking, you know, maybe I'll just have something to eat to keep me going. And what I realize is that I need that sleep. That sleep is part of keeping me balanced and happy. And I need to get to bed earlier, because that's when I'm going to really benefit from my sleep. And so what I suggest too for people that find themselves eating late at night is try and actually go to bed a little bit earlier. You know, instead of staying up where you're getting hungrier and hungrier and hungrier, and then you end up just eating, just go to bed and wake up earlier the next day to do those things that you wanted to do late night. And see if that makes a difference as well. So those are my 2 suggestions today to stop the binge eating. Alright, so I am wishing you guys a fabulous, fabulous day, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye!